Welcome back to Bread and Butter, where we're serving up the basics for Hearthstone Improvement. This is episode 160, and as always, and in order, I am joined by Pylet. Pylet, how are you today?
Doing well. How are you?
I am fantastic, and we have not one but two amazing guests this week. We have returning guest, one of our favorites, RonMexico. Ron, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here as always. I love doing the show with you guys, and excited to be the least esteemed Hunter player on stream tonight.
I'm not sure if that's quite the case, but it's definitely in the ballpark. And we also have another returning guest. I think this is your third appearance, SidisiTV. How are you tonight, Sid?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited about Hearthstone. I'm excited to be on with RonMexico, one of my favorite Hunter players, legendary GOAT of Hunter. I'm excited to be on with Ron.
Oh my God, we're gonna need boots to wade through all this, but that's okay. Sid, what have you been doing inside the game of Hearthstone? I'm assuming a lot of Priest?
Oh yeah. Always Priest. Me and my one Priest win. I have to lose a lot to keep that up. But yeah, I've been playing Hunter. I'm not as obsessed with Discover Hunter as Ron is, so I've been kind of waiting for the new content pretty much since the mini set drop. But I've been enjoying some Food Chain Quest Hunter and some Face Hunter. But the other decks, I was trying some meme experiments, and I couldn't get to Legend with them, so I had to shelve it.
I believe that Donkey put out another Rye Cleaver Hunter, and he was 9-1, and I tried it, and I went like 1-8, which, you know, par for the course. But I'm always hoping that we have like 2 weeks left. Somebody needs to come up with a good deck. But anyway, Ron, what have you been doing inside of Hearthstone?
Pretty much the usual stuff. I've been jamming a lot of Discover Hunter because that's been like my favorite thing for a while, and it's about to be gone maybe forever, which is kind of sad. And then I've just been kind of deck rouletting outside of that. So Hunter's in the rotation along with playing a little bit of like Arcwing Mage, playing some Demon Hunter that's just like the broken one with the blobs and everything, and then Whizbang just for the hell of it, because I didn't want to let my win rate get too high. You know, I couldn't just rotate through like a really good decks. I had to throw a terrible one in there. But Whizbang is fun for the variety, and because they buffed it to the point that it's like not terrible for a little while longer, to just kind of give it its last farewell. It's been interesting. It's been entertaining.
Yeah, and Whizbang actually is very frustrating to play against when you are playing on the ladder and then you come across the Death Knight or the Warlock or some of them are really good now, and it's really frustrating. But it's only a couple weeks. Who cares? Pylet, what have you been doing?
Priest is really good against Hunter. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. No worries. Yeah.
I
actually have not run into that yet. Since I have not run into it since the Whizbang buff. But yeah,
I've heard into the Automaton deck or the double Legendary Hunter deck for some reason. I feel like those are the only two that I see.
The Hunter one is super good.
Yeah.
Yes. I was gonna say on
and how about
HS Guru,
yourself, Pylet?
3 of the top 6 like individual decks are Whizbang decks, and the other 3 are at least DH with different versions for Diamond through Legend. There's a few that are just utter high rolls, and then a few that keep it at a 50% overall.
I can see editing this podcast is already going to be interesting when I get to it tomorrow. But Pylet, what have you been doing inside Hearthstone?
Not a ton, just because I've been busy and sick. I did hit Legend on Wednesday or Thursday finally with Arcwing Mage. You know, got there, thankfully still had the 11-star bonus to kind of make that a little bit easier, and was able to win just enough after bouncing off the final boss a couple times, and then didn't play any more standard for the rest of the week after that. Entered at like 800, finished the month at 900 something, so I kept 11x, but just no time or desire to play this week. So we'll see kind of what I do with the new month leading into the expansion. Probably just play a little bit here and there, but you know, it is what it is. It's the last couple weeks before rotation and everything, and that's normally a good time that I just kind of chill, take a break, or we'll see what the unnerfing patch does.
That's fair. And I I have mostly been playing Triple Unholy Death Knight. I've been mixing in a couple other decks, and then like the Rye Cleaver Hunter we talked about. But outside of that, I decided that I should try to do some other things. So I created a new account, and I decided to choose my friend Toner. He told me that he was playing an account that no crafting. Like, so it's a free account with no crafting, and you just kind of play with what you got. So I decided I would do the same thing. So I started a new account. I went through the new player experience and decided to see if I ever do this again, if that was worth it or not. Decided I'm going to make some content out of that. So we're trying to use all the buffalo, but yeah, no crafting. I did craft one card because you had to craft the card for the ladder to get the experience. So I crafted it and disenchanted the same card. I figured that's okay. That worked. But outside of that, we are, just playing. And very first game I played when I got to the ladder on level 25. Can you guess, Pylet?
Is Protoss Priest, wasn't it? I think I got on stream right afterwards.
It was Protoss Priest. Of course it was. Like, my least favorite deck. That's a deck I can't wait to see go by. Even though I know it's a fine deck, there's no unbalance on it. It's just a deck I hate. But Ron, what have you been doing outside of the game?
I've been sick. I've been sick for like a solid week. It sucks. Yeah, I'm still not feeling 100%, but I'm getting there. So mainly just as much sleep as I can to try to recover. Almost there, Not a whole lot outside of that. Just trying not to do too much so I can recover faster.
At least you're not dealing with your parents' dog this time around while you're sick. That would have been worse.
Yes, this is true.
Sid, how about yourself? What have you been doing outside of the game?
Sorry to hear you guys have been sick, man. That's rough. I can't afford to be sick because 3 of my family members have bought or have moved in the last month. And so that means I have been signed up to help all of them.
Oh my.
So yeah, that's been keeping me very busy. But yeah, other than that, trying to keep my head on my shoulders with family life and play a little bit of Marvel Snap, but Hearthstone's my main game.
Fair enough. Pylet, what have you been up to outside of the game of Hearthstone?
Yeah, that apparently fitting the theme of being sick. I just caught this head cold that I haven't been able to shake, and also don't have time to be sick because it's show week for our musical this upcoming week. So a lot of long days, which probably hasn't helped with getting sick, but it's okay. Outside of that, I finally started playing Ball Pit. Decided to play that this morning, saying I'm like, I've got about 45 minutes before I need to leave and go do grocery shopping, and 2 hours later I'm like, I need to go do this before I lose track of more time. So that game grabbed onto me pretty quickly, so been playing that little bit. Nice little chill roguelike that I can play for a couple runs or a couple hours depending on what I have time for, which seems pretty good for knowing that I have a busy few weeks coming up as a non-Hearthstone game to kill some time with.
Nice. And this week for me, it was school vacation week for my kid, and I wasn't going to be there because I work down in Rhode Island, but there was this big blizzard at the beginning of the week, and I was able to telework for a bunch of days, and every day it was like, I'm packing up ready to come back down to Mass, and they're like, hey guys, telework tomorrow, please. We haven't finished cleaning up. So I get to clean up. I get to telework most of the week, and then even Friday I did. So it was nice. I got to have not a vacation. I worked, but it was nice to be home for the kids' vacation. And outside of that, Hades 2 has its hooks in me real bad. I've been playing a ton of that. I have rolled credits. I've rolled the epilogue. I found out the other thing, and I've unlocked my first hidden aspect just recently, and there's still some more story. I'm at the point where some of the characters are just like, hey, how you doing? Yeah, just keep it moving. We've already said everything we're going to say, but there's still other ones that have plenty to talk about, and there's still things I have not come close to yet. So I'm excited. It's a really fun game, but this is not Hidden Aspects, the Hades 2 podcast, which we hope comes back pretty soon. But this is about Hearthstone, and I'm sure there's some news this week, Pylet. I know it was kind of slow in the news, but I'm sure there's something we could have dredged up, right?
We have a couple things in news. We did have a patch this week. The 34.6.2 patch with one standard balance change. They nerf War Master Blackhorn to change the battle cry to where it now only destroys cards in both decks. So it's destroy all cards that cost 2 or less of both players' decks rather than deck and hand, because of some issues with that and some unfun play patterns. A couple nerfs to Wild as well with Soul Barrage, Spirit Singer Umbra, and Yasel, Windsinger, and then a ton of Battlegrounds updates and fixes. There was also a hotfix patch a couple days afterwards to fix the Warp Gate issue that was happening, where I think the discount could be used up by your opponent or something really weird. And then apparently Signature King Lane was causing disconnects, and that is also fixed.
Fair enough. I think that the Blackhorn nerf wasn't enough. They needed to nuke it from orbit. It's the only way to be sure. What do you guys think of that card? Ron, why don't you start us off?
First, I think it's very amusing that the card got nerfed while people were still calling it Blackthorn instead of Blackhorn, just for how brief of a time it's been around. But I've never been a fan of cards with effects like that. It's kind of a blanket, like, extremely powerful anti lots of different things tech that, you know, any powerful control deck can just kind of slot in and be like, all right, I could take maybe this one turn tempo loss and just demolish your entire win con with this one card and instantly end the game in a lot of cases. And, you know, that's kind of not very fun as a play experience in my at least as far as I'm concerned when I play the game. Now, I know there's like a subset of players that is their fun, like destroying other people's fun, but in general, I'm kind of opposed to that style of gameplay, and I don't really like when cards like that get printed. So, you know, I was reasonably happy to see it become worse. It's so much worse now that it probably won't significantly carry decks in the way that it did prior to the nerfs. So I feel like it's fine to exist. Again, it probably would have been better to not print it in the first place, just from my perspective. But I guess, you know, for the people that like that kind of stuff, it's no longer quite as toxic as it was, and that's a step in the right direction, right?
Yeah, I thought it was weird that it was the card they chose to release as like the preset release. It's like this weird tech card. Sid, what are your thoughts on the card?
I'm kind of in the same boat as Ron. I mean, I don't know. I've been playing Battle at End Time Quest just because it's a hunter thing I can do. So I've kind of had the taste of being the dirty villain who hurts your opponent's stuff. And, you know, I don't know. It feels good when your opponent just concedes after you do the thing, but it's kind of like, how are they feeling right now? They're probably pretty salty. So I don't know. It doesn't, just kind of punching them in the face seems like a more legitimate way to win. But yeah, I know Blackhorn was really good against Discover Hunter, so that probably didn't help things either.
Yeah, no, I didn't enjoy that. I kind of gave up playing Discover Hunter in the early days of Blackhorn's existence, and then I shifted to a deck that was a little bit better against Blackhorn, like just had more alternate ways to win. And then when they nerfed it, I'm like, oh, cool, I can go back to the deck that I already had.
Nice.
Yeah, and I, when the patch came out, I mentioned this I think on last week's show, but I decided that I was going to try to make new things happen and try to like use the buff cards to do things. And one of the decks I was excited about, thanks to Pylet, I think he had brought it up, or maybe it was Warshak, I forget who was talking about it, was the Hemet. Hemet was going to be reduced in play. So I had the idea of, hey, let's play Hemet and let's play some Story of Karnassus, because that sounds like, you know, a really good feeder into Bran, and we could probably make some interesting things happen. And the deck actually felt really good when I played it in casual before I brought it to the ladder, and then I got it to the ladder, and then it was Blackhorn, Ziliax, Blackhorn, Ziliax, Blackhorn, Ziliax, and it was just like, yeah, well, you know what? I think, like I said, Zacho talked about this on the Vicious Syndicate podcast a couple weeks ago, and how it just kind of, it makes you so you don't want to even try to build decks, because it's like, well, you know, what's the point? They're just gonna Blackhorn it. So that's why I don't like about it. And Pylet, do you have any final? I know we talked about it last week. Do you have anything you want to bring up? All right. Any other news we got?
No, just a couple reminders of upcoming stuff this week. We had the final reveal stream on Tuesday at 11 Pacific, so a little bit later than normal Blizzard time. And then Theory Crafting is this upcoming Thursday, March 5th. They have that on the website, and that'll be the normal 12 hours with different shifts.
And if you want to know if your favorite streamers like Sidisi or Ron, or your favorite podcasters like Tito and Pylet are going to be doing any theory crafting, they get to announce these things on Monday. So just listen then. If you're listening to the podcast, go check it out now. If you're listening live, you got to wait till tomorrow to find out who's there and who's not, but you can usually probably figure it out. Any other news, Pylet, or are we good to move on?
I think we're good to move on.
All right. So before we start talking about new cards, I want to do a little hunter talk. Ron and Sid, why don't we start with Sid this time? What do you feel like the state of Hunter has been over the last year or two? As Hunter mains, have you been happy with Hunter? Is Hunter in a good place? Is it in a bad place? Is it an okay place? What are your thoughts on where Hunter is right now? And we'll talk about the future with the new cards after. But right now, going into tomorrow, how's Hunter?
So I feel like I always have to go in the Wayback Machine and like collect my notes because it's hard to remember even 3 or 4 months ago exactly what was happening, especially for someone who's a specialist. And like, that's pretty much all I play, which is kind of weird. But I think Hunter's, in a decent spot right now. I think Discover Hunter has just been kind of one of the historic Hunter decks of all time. It's just like the highest skill cap Hunter deck ever, I think. So it's just been a really cool end of the year to kind of see that deck, hang around, not get nerfed. I think at this point people are pretty tired of facing it, but it's been a deck that I feel like has been solid and maybe not too irritating or not so overpowered that it gets nerfed. So I think that's been a really cool kind of era for Hunter. The other things that we have to do are some things are kind of neat, but it's been tough to kind of meme around with Hunter, I think, this past year. So, my off-meta experiments that would hit Legend are not as much variety and uniqueness as I would like. Some stuff has been fun, but it's definitely not been the easiest to climb with. So, overall, I'm not unhappy or anything. It's been a good time.
But the Discover Hunter, correct me if I'm wrong, but that doesn't really feel like a Sidisi kind of deck. Like that doesn't feel like the deck that you're excited about. Did you like playing it? Was it a good deck for you?
Yeah, I mean it's fun, and there's so many different flavors and things you can do with it. It's a very flexible shell that you can kind of tinker around with. I just love that they printed this for Hunter, and it's this special kind of package that we had, and I think it was a really cool concept, really well designed. I probably should do like a tribute post before a rotation for it. But it's kind of like the wild seeds, anytime your favorite class gets a really cool package, it's always great for that whole rotation cycle.
And how about yourself, Ron? What do you think the state of Hearthstone has been for Hunter for the last year or two?
Let me start by saying in terms of variety, it's been kind of meh. Like, there's not really a lot of options to go with if you want to feel like you have a solid chance of winning the majority of your games or 50% plus of your games, that there aren't a lot of archetypes that work very well. That being said, it is a literal golden age for Hunter for competitive decks because of one specific archetype. And of course, we've already mentioned it a few times, and that is Discover Hunter. Discover Hunter has become, I think I can unequivocally say now, my favorite Hunter deck of all time. It is just so complex, so flexible, so many different routes that you can go with and win games. Frustratingly, a lot of people are going to have a lot of problems with the deck and say, oh, it's not that high skill testing, or this is stupid or whatever, because of the existence of Grifta. And there's so much with Discover Hunter and Grifta that's just like, okay, play Grifta, roll deal 6, do a thing with Neri, haha, you win the game. And that's annoying and kind of sucks. just as like a gameplay pattern that will repeat over and over at the highest tiers of Legend Ladder and so on. There's so much that you can do with the deck that's really interesting and fun and complicated. And the times that you miss on the Grifta or don't draw the Grifta or something else like that in those types of scenarios really make it super fascinating. It was really cool to see it as like one of the top decks being brought to competitive tournaments. Traditionally, for a while in Hearthstone tournaments, Hunter's always excluded. It's never good enough. You know, all the competitive players are never bringing Hunter. They're like, no, it's just not going to be strong enough. So it was really, really nice for me, especially as someone who really enjoys playing Hunter and really enjoys like flexible gameplay patterns. And I pride myself a lot of times on being able to play at a higher level when I really try. And that gave me the opportunity to do that and have a lot of fun with it and just, you know, wide open things. Like it's so hard to play that deck correctly. I'm not sure I ever have. I'm not sure anyone ever has, just because there's a new decision to make that branches in like all these different paths, and then that decision will keep branching and so on. But the beauty of Hearthstone sometimes is that you don't need to play perfect or even most of the way correctly. As long as you can do good enough, you can win that game. And that deck is chock full of decisions that you can make that lead you to a new decision that winds up being good enough. And it's just been a lot of fun. It's been a total blast for me. I'm going to miss that deck so much when it's gone.
As an expert on not playing completely correctly, I completely understand and agree. Pylet, I know you played some of the deck too. Do you you a big fan? What do you think of Ben Hunter the last couple of years?
Yeah, I enjoyed the Discover Hunter. It was, like it's been said, it was really nice to have a Hunter archetype that was really flexible because we had so many different variations on the deck, especially the past handful of months of, you know, was it correct to run Elise, not Elise, back to Elise, back to non-Elise to go more aggressive, things like that. And then I really enjoyed the quest hunter as well for a little bit. It never really took a huge meta, you know, slot, but it definitely was good enough for the couple months that I was playing it, and I was catching plenty of people off guard, especially once they switched it to once they made it Discover, and you know, you just roll, you know, Agamagan and kill people out of nowhere. So that's normally good enough.
Fair enough. And I did not play a ton of Discover Hunter, not because I didn't like it. It was fine. I just never, it didn't really grab me like some of the other decks I was playing at the time. I was in my control era thanks to you know, Language Hacker, and I know it's kind of a control-ish kind of deck, but like, nah, it's how would you classify it? Mid-range, kind of the M word.
It can be played mid-range, but it has
I'd call
combo.
it an everything deck.
Yeah. Can control.
Just because, for one thing, because you start as the Hunter hero power 2 until you find Niall, you can always lean a little bit more aggressive. So you can identify your spots with that deck in all kinds of different matchups. So sometimes you're aggro, sometimes you're mid-range, sometimes you're control, sometimes you're combo, sometimes you're any number of things that regularly changes over the course of the game that you're playing. So it's probably like the most flexible deck I've ever played, and I'd struggle to pinpoint a specific style that it, I guess, mainly is.
Tito, I think you're muted.
I was just checking my
Pylet,
audio there.
Do we want to start talking about some new cards?
Yes. Probably should, because we have quite a few cards to go through, especially, you know, we were talking about it before the show where like there's a lot of new cards. I'm like, there's not that many. I realized I completely missed Warrior when I was grabbing stuff earlier, so those are in the show notes now also. So thankfully it's a lot of packages for most of the classes. But I suppose we'll start with Hunter, since we have, you know, two people who enjoy Hunter on the podcast. And couple different things going here. We have a bonkers 1 mana 2/2 card that we got. Some dragon cards, some, you know, repeat 1-cost cards. So a lot of different things here with Hunters. Sid, what sticks out to you for the new cards so far?
Actually, Sid, before you answer that, you inside of Hearthstone, you did a thing. Why didn't you talk about that?
So I was on the official reveal stream for some of these, and that was amazing. It was cool to hang out with some other personalities and be kind of a Hunter representative. I did have to comment on Mage cards, which was a little awkward. And they tried to convince me to play Mage, and I was like, meh. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Got to get Ron on next time.
Yes. So, sorry, Pylet, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I didn't want to forget about that. That was a kind of a big deal. So go ahead.
I passed it on to Sid, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, look, we got some really cool transform guys that turn into dragons. Mm-hmm. So, everyone thinks there's going to be a Dragon Hunter deck. I think there's some really good potential with it. How it all comes together and how it fits in the meta, I'm not 100% sure yet. And then we got a couple really cool pieces in Confront the Tol'vir and Tol'vir Carver that just are going to do so many cool things in Standard. And there's just going to be cards that see play in Hunter forever. So I think overall, this is just like a really strong set. I could just have a monologue about it for an hour, but I'll let some other people talk.
Ron?
Yeah, I gotta agree with Sid on a lot of this here. There is just on the screen, or from the show notes at least, we've got 6 different Hunter cards up, and I think there were maybe 10 that have been revealed. So like there's a Colossal that's a legendary. There's yet another card that turns into a dragon when you play a dragon. That's a legendary that gives dragons rush for the rest of the game, and itself becomes a 7-mana 12/12, which is pretty insane. And there's a card that I am extremely excited about and would probably be insanely broken in Discover Hunter if it was still around, and that's a 2-mana damage card, Sylvanas' Triumph, which is a 2-mana spell, deal 3 damage. If you've played another copy of this, hit all enemies instead. You could stack more copies of that, like Discover Hunter's known to do. That could get ridiculous. But even on its own, it's a really powerful card, and I'm just really looking forward to playing these. Earth and Roar is a card that's, like Dragon Synergy upside stuff, but it's Hunter's Mark. We got Hunter's Mark back.
Yeah,
that's been forever since we had Hunter's Mark. It's great. I mean, originally that was a 0-mana, but still.
It's Hunter's Mark with upside, right? It's like,
yeah,
right.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Confront the Tol'vir looks incredible, just to get like extra 1-mana cards replayed for some value stuff for Hunter. And that is a very aggressive, nicely statted 1-drop with some upside too. You can't just have it like pinged down or spelled down at the beginning of the turn because of the elusive. So there's some powerhouses here, and everybody's probably talking about Ebon Scale Scout as like the main one that is the linchpin of Dragon Hunter and what will make that card go, because 8 damage that can go face. The card itself is going to be an 8/8 too. Once, of course, you transform it by playing a dragon. Maybe if there's some hand buff effects, maybe if you can do a discounting thing or a Dios thing to double the battle cry. Like, there's a lot of different experiments people are kind of playing around with for how it might work out. But just at its base level, that's a pretty scary card. And I like it. It looks cool.
It's like we have King Crush. We don't need King Crush. We have King Crush at home with Ebon, because you just do 8 damage, but you do it 2 turns earlier. Right?
Yeah, that's
don't have to worry about taunts.
My boy, the King, he's gone but not forgotten. Seem to keep power creeping, upgrading on some things, but this does require a little bit of synergy first.
There's not any Hunter dragons, so we got to rely on all of the neutral dragons to transform the Ebon Scale Scout, the Stone Talon Striker, and the legendary Abyssian. So, there's some pretty good neutral dragons, and they printed more for this set. I kind of wish maybe we got like a Primordial Explorer in the core set, Like the core set had quick shot in there, which is cool in Aggro Hunter, but we just got Sylvanas' Triumph, which is basically like quick shot with upside in some ways. So I don't know. I would have liked to have a Hunter Dragon to go with all these guys that transform into dragons.
A little bit disappointing to not have that, but there are some really good ones that have been printed for neutrals, like Carrier Whelp. I think is a neutral card that's going to be like something that is extremely important for Dragon Hunter, since it's a 1-mana dragon that also Battlecry gives you another cheap dragon in your hand. And dragon density type of stuff is going to be super important for that. There's a couple 1-mana neutral dragons that are still around, or at least one of them. So I think there's going to be enough minions there to like have the concentration of dragons that you need, but it's going to be a little tricky to try to figure out what the right balance is, and whether or not it will wind up being the prevailing archetype, who knows. But it's cool to see just a different direction that looks like it has some decent support.
It's also helpful that you don't have to completely load your deck with bad dragons, because once you get that, they transform into dragons, so then they're helping the rest of your top decks as well. So like the 3-drop, the 6-drop, they transform into dragons once you play a dragon as well.
Well, only while they're in hand, though.
Yes, but if you have if you have something in hand and then top deck, then you at least can kind of keep the chain going,
right?
Which definitely helps a little bit, rather than them not being dragons and kind of, I have this one, but I haven't hit the scout yet. I have to hold this one dragon for 5 turns until I get it, rather than now I have the striker that I can hopefully transform the scout with.
It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun and powerful. All these, again, they all look pretty powerful. We've been dealing with a low-powered format. We won't know until we actually play with the cards, but I'm excited about almost all the classes. They all feel like they're pretty strong. But Ron, you guys got one of the weirdest cards ever. What are your thoughts on the Colossal?
Yeah, it's strange. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to work. At least as far as like trying to make a deck that plays to the Colossal strengths the most. I feel like more likely it's just going to be like one of the top end cards in aggressive decks. Where it's just like, this can just give some extra really difficult to remove board presence and extra damage to just kind of buff up, whatever board winds up sticking around. But Colossal plus 99 is really weird. That is crazy. So you're always board locked. If this minion survives, you're always board locked. But also, there's lots of single target removal. So, you play this as a 7-mana, 12 health minion, and you hope that it sticks so you can do all your things. And on the one hand, there's the downside of I don't want to be always board locked in case I get like frozen or just locked out to a point where my board size is being used against me and it's too awkward to try to play anything from hand, so I'm mostly floating a lot of mana and passing with like cards that I have from hand that I want to play. And on the other hand, so there's that one downside of locking you out, and the other downside of, well, I need this to stick because I put all my power in this to leverage the board, but then someone just single target removals it and it's gone, and it doesn't matter about those plus 99. They're not coming anymore because Magma's dead. So now there's nothing else that's coming out. It's weird. It's interesting. I think there will be room for it. I think it'll be a decent card. But it is very difficult for me to evaluate what kind of power level this card actually has. I think just based on the cost, it's not going to be a real standout, but I could be wrong.
It's a card that we don't know how it's going to be a liability yet. Like,
yes,
there's going to be some weird meta interaction where you're like, oh, this Magma's terrible into this, or like, Well, I don't know. There's no more Bob to freeze me, but somehow me filling my board is going to bite me with this.
Yeah.
But can we get Bunny
always
Stomper?
a punish, right?
I want Bunny Stomper back. Where's the Bunny Stomper?
There you go. I mean, I kind of I would have preferred to just have Hydralodon instead of this, but it's fine.
Hydralodon's
like one of the best cards ever.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Can we talk briefly, Tito, about Carver? Because I feel like this card is a bit slept on. I mean, everyone knows this kind of permanent mana discount. Choose a card to discount every turn is pretty crazy. But I guess in my mind, it seems like a card that, okay, maybe it's just going in your funny combo deck or your deck that's running, some really expensive cards. But there's also a part of me that thinks this might just be in every Hunter deck once people realize how good it is. Other than like maybe strict face Hunter. But if you're running Magma in your deck and a couple expensive cards, you might run Carver just because it's insane to play Magma on turn 5 or whatever it would be. So we'll see.
Yeah, it seems like a solid card.
Yeah, I'm really on the fence about this card just for its applications. There's so many high roll things. There's so many things that like this card just in and of itself will inspire like a plan for a combo. Like, oh, I'm going to have a Dios and Scout deck, and I'll just discount Dios or discount Scout. I'm not sure how the transform will work, but I feel like it's going to transform into a new card and lose its discount if you discounted for instance, an Ebon Scale Scout before you played a dragon. That it would, it'd be at 6 mana, it dropped to 5, it dropped to 4, you play a dragon, it's back to 6, it's a dragon.
Word on the street is that it keeps the enchantments, at least for buffs. So does it keep the mana discount enchantment as well? I'm not sure. But I think it does keep buffs when it transforms.
I feel like we won't truly know until we see it in action. It's just like kind of a default Hearthstone rule for me is I don't believe anything until I see it. But we'll see. Like that would obviously make it even better. Maybe it works that way. Maybe it doesn't. And I like what you said, how you can just use this with like one of your higher mana power spike cards. And just you play this on 3 to set up a really powerful 5 or 6 or something. And that might be the primary use of the card. I'm not sure because playing a 3 mana 3/2 is a pretty rough tempo loss.
It is.
So I'm not sure how much decks, especially Hunter, that regularly leans on keeping kind of control of the board and the game state as far as staying ahead of things, is going to be able to still like stay on schedule by playing this kind of card. It might not come down on 3, it might have to come down on 5 with something else, so that you're not getting wrecked, for instance, when you play it. But there's a lot of potential there, and it's an interesting card. I'm excited to see it being printed, to see what's going to happen with it.
I want to run the dragon deck with the Murazond guy. I think it might have been last set, or maybe it is. I don't know which set the Murazond's from, but it fills your board with dragons and heals you to full, and then your opponent gets 2 turns. Is that how it works?
Oh yeah.
But like if you've played Abyssian, all the dragons have rush. So I'm excited to hit that Murazond with the Carver, and then I think that'll be fun. So yeah, that's my project.
I did try to make that work by getting that out super early in a ramp druid, and I did get it out by like turn 4 or 5 a couple times, and I still lost those games. So
okay, so maybe I should pick a different pet project. Okay.
But I mean, the problem,
usually giving your opponent 2 turns is also giving your opponent the victory.
Yeah,
but fair. You never know. There could be something else there that supports it.
But maybe after rotation we have better dragons in the pool and less bad dragons in the pool and whatnot. So who knows? But it definitely, that was one of the first things I did when the last set came out, and did not quite work out as well as I was hoping. I kind of knew that, but I was like, I have to try. So
sure.
Pylet, any final thoughts on Hunter before we move on to Sid's other favorite class, Mage?
No, not overly. I mean, Confront the Tol'vir is the card that stood out to me as like, this is it's a card that I didn't expect to get, as a card that I'm waiting to be utterly broken at some point. And same with like Earth and Roar if we get any more trample effects. Right now we just have Briarspawn Drake. But if we get any more, we had Trampling Rhino before, we had Always Bigger Yormonger. If we get anything like that again, Earth and Roar is even more busted.
I mean, we still have Mirrorlex, so Briarspawn Drake might be friends with this, right?
Yes.
True.
All right, so Pylet, let's go on to Mage. I know you're very excited about this legendary, so why don't you start us off here?
I am quite excited about Mage because Mage says damage on pretty much all the cards that we saw, and I'm here for that. So we got the legendary Archmage Kalik, 4 mana, 4/4 Battle Cry. Give all spells in your hand and deck spell damage +1. That's a bonkers effect. I haven't had a chance to really take a good look at what our spell pool looks like after rotation. We lost a lot of ping effects, which is, we don't have the Chalice anymore to where we can't make, gigantic board clear out of this, but still have a lot of damage spells in Mage, and we got some more with Sleet Storm, a 1 mana spell, deal 2 damage, deal 1 damage to a random enemy minion. Raincaller, a 2 mana 1/4 elemental. Each time you deal damage with the spell, each turn gain +2 attack. A 4 mana 2/5 elemental, unstable spellcaster, spell damage +1. Battlecry, if you dealt damage with the spell this turn, summon a copy. And then kind of the awkward, somewhat payoff card of dealing damage with spells, a 10 cost spell. That says summon a 6/6 dragon, cost 1 less for each damage you've dealt with spells this turn. I don't think that card's going to be seen as much as the others, but there's a lot of damage here, and I am all for that.
Yeah, it looks fun. Normally when we get these kind of, hey, here's a lot of spell damage or something like that, it's usually restricted to a school like Fire or Arcane or something like that. But this is just, hey, go nuts, whatever you want to throw in there. I'm glad that we don't have Questline Mage right now with that, because that would be very gross. Ron, as someone that plays more than just Hunter, what are your thoughts here?
There's a lot to like for the new Mage cards, I think. Like Pylet, I'm a pretty big fan of combo when combo is damage plus damage equals damage. It's very nice to just go ahead and, go off, get them, try to win the game as quick as possible with just a lot of burn. And there's a lot of burn being supported in a deck like this. I know Spellweaver's Brilliance looks a little awkward, but that kind of repeating discount often just means that 10 mana cost is going to actually say 0.
Yes.
And I think that card might wind up being pretty powerful just to, while you're, wrecking your opponent's board or just sending a whole bunch of damage face, you're also getting a free 6/6 or maybe 2 free 6/6s if you've got the 2 copies in your hand. Obviously, there's going to be plenty of moments where it's awkward, but it does say 1 less for each damage you deal. And there's already plenty of spell damage buffs as well, like with Kalik and the spellcaster making a copy of itself for more spell damage. And obviously we see the Sleet Storm on the screen that does 2 damage. So if you're buffing that, let's say you already played Kalik and you have the spellcaster down that copied itself as turn 4 into turn 5 or 6 or something, you'd probably need a coin or some kind of discount to get the Sleet Storm down too. But you'd be looking at a +3. So you'd have 5 damage from the Sleet Storm as just straight up targeted, and then an additional 4 that's going to a random enemy minion, and that goes ahead and makes the Brilliance cost 1 just from that 1 mana card. So you can just see the implications of stacking different spell damage things or additional spells that are, sending random damage somewhere or anything like that. And it kind of just gets out of control really fast.
Yes.
The question of how powerful this will be will probably ultimately come down to how quickly can this card cost 0 and get played on the board. If you can do this by turn 3 or 4, it could be dominant. even by 5 or 6, it could be a really powerful swing that your opponent might not be able to answer. But just some cool Mage cards, some good stuff that fits the flavor of what Mage is, right? Mage casts spells and boosts spells damage and burns you down. Like that's awesome. That's 2014 Mage right there from Hearthstone. Fire and frost and kill them.
Yeah, turn
and the
4,
minions are elemental, right? So
yes.
Yeah, that too. That's cool.
Turn 4 is the earliest I can think of just straight up from hand. With if you get Thalnos plus double Sleet Storm, that's 10 damage, and that's a free Brilliance. I don't think that we have any 1-cost spell damage things in Standard right now. So I do think that high roll is probably good enough. Like that high roll is very good. It's just I don't think to expect that every turn, every game, and then it's
right.
I do think a free 6/6 as a bonus to your board clear is probably good enough to run. It's just not as powerful as what I think this card reads stronger than what it is, but I think it's still good enough it goes in the deck.
And we got a 1-mana 1/3. Just needs a point of damage, and then it's got spell damage. We're good.
Isn't that Warrior?
It's dual.
That's Warrior and
Mage. Ooh, okay.
So, maybe something there. Obviously, that's more of a combo card than like a card you play on turn 1 because it's probably going to die. But, we'll see. Sid, as a enthusiast of Mage and being someone that was on the reveal stream for Mage, what do you think?
I'd rather have Sleet Storm than Sleet Skater. I don't need to be hostaged out. I'm fine to exchange punches with some mages, and let's get it on and figure it out quickly. I like the sound of that to me.
It definitely feels like with this expansion, where with the cards that are rotating and the cards we're seeing, that it does feel like they want to have like the real epic, like colossals pounding into each other kind of thing. So maybe yeah. I mean, that seems like the direction we're going. I kind of like it. This seems fun. The mage spell damage, wonderful. Just it feels like you're gonna have to do the math, which is not good for me. But you're gonna have to do the math and figure out what you're gonna do with the spell damage and whatnot. So I think it'll be fun. It's definitely kind of different than a lot of the other board based kind of decks we've been seeing, but that's good, right? That gives you something else to do. Any other final thoughts on Mage before we move on?
A possible, although very unlikely, turn 2, play 2 6/6s. You got to play the 1-mana 1/3.
Yep.
And your opponent also probably needs to flood the board with like multiple 1-health minions. And then you can trade the 1/3 to get the spell damage, play the 2 spell damage things, and then drop the 2 0-mana 6/6s, and that's like an instant win. And anything that has access to an instant win is something that could wind up really making some waves. It depends on the other support there, but just the fact that there is some capabilities that aren't totally outlandish to imagine means that I think it's putting Mage in a pretty decent spot.
Often Rogue coins out Fast Forward or whatever it's called, and they have 2
flashback
minions.
Is what popped in my head.
Flashback.
If you can hit something without it dying, because it does give +1 attack to those, so you have to hope that they roll something that has 2 attack total instead of 3.
Yep. All right. Well, now we're on to Warlock and Priests. Go ahead, Pylet. Get us started here.
So, Warlock, we're going to start with Warlock, but the Warlock set I don't understand. So someone smarter than me is going to tell me how these cards are going to see play or not. But we got the Colossal, which is Cho'Gall Mastermind, a 9-mana 6/6, Colossal +2. It says, your arms and soldiers destroy minions in the enemy's deck instead. The arms and soldiers are cards that say, at the end of your turn, destroy the minion to the right to gain +2/+2. So when you play the Colossal, it's going to destroy cards in your enemy's deck instead. When you don't have the Colossal, or you just summon the soldiers from heralding, then it's going to kill whatever is to the right of that minion to gain +2/+2. Then we got a few other kind of disruption type things. We have a Cursed Chains, 2 mana shadow spell, take control of an enemy minion until the end of their turn. It can't attack this turn. As well as a board clear with the Eldritch Tentacles, which I think is a absolutely bonkers card. 6 cost shadow spell, deal 3 damage to all minions. Repeat this with 1 less damage, so it'll deal 3, then 2, then 1. I feel like we had a card very similar to this in Warlock before, but I can't think of what it is.
It's like a Defile.
I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know if it goes 3, 2, 1 though. I think it just does 3 and 2 because it doesn't say repeat, keep repeating. It just says deal 3 damage to all minions. Repeat this with 1 less damage. I don't know if it will do more than 2 iterations. It might. Again, Hearthstone. Yay.
I read it as it repeats the spell with the damage number being less, which means it would repeat it again with 1 less damage. I feel like
I read it the same way. I
typically
suppose
how
it's
these have
possible
worked.
that it's just 3 and then 2, because you could interpret the text that way. But usually they do things to try to like help it get modified with spell damage too. So it looks like it would be a card that is repeat until you run out of damage. So if you wound up getting some kind of spell damage effect, it'd be 4, then 3, then 2, then 1, is how I'm reading it, but I don't know for sure.
So I'm looking at the kit here, and I'm kind of surprised Cursed Chains isn't also a Herald card because it feels like it kind of goes with the Colossal, which is the 2 mana, take control of an enemy minion till the end of the turn. It can't attack this turn. Like, so basically you want to get a soldier down with a Herald or with a Herald. You don't want it with actually with Cho'Gall yet, and you steal it and then you kill it and then it gains stats. And remember, every time you herald, so it goes +2/+2. 2 heralds is going to be +4/+4, then +8/8. So I think that's kind of what we're expecting to do here. Is like you have that to steal minions and eat them. You have the disposable acolytes, which when you play or discard this, summon 2 random 1-cost minions. So basically, you're just trying to play these soldiers and then play these, either get these cheap minions. You have the disposable cards or the temporary cards you can generate. You can steal your enemy's minions. So I can see that. And then instead, I don't know what the card to the right in the deck is, but it's just each a card in the deck, I suppose.
Yes.
And that's going to be this is pretty much for that guy that we were talking about before that likes to destroy your things, that plays Blackhorn. They're going to love this kind of deck right here. Looking at this image, like with the priest and the Warlock cards, there is so much purple here. It is almost hard to like see anything because it's just a whole blob of purple. It's hard to distinguish, and it's a cool like each individual card is cool, but it's really kind of interesting. And we got a location which is a 4 mana 2 4 mana 2 durability Herald Cho'Gall, draw a card. That seems a little pricey for what you're getting, but maybe it's good that a deck like this is somewhat pricey. Cho'Gall is 9. Yeah. So Ron, what do you think of Warlock here?
It's an interesting set. There's a lot built around Herald and the Colossal that is a little bit difficult to evaluate before getting to see it in action. Like more so than some just standard type of effects, like, oh, I know what this does, I know what to expect from something like this that's like a deal damage or destroy or this or that. So Eldritch Tentacles looks really powerful to me. That's a type of effect that we've already seen before and we've seen it do well. Some of these other ones, they could be very good, they could be very bad, they could be anywhere in between. And I think it's going to be highly meta dependent, as well as, a deck that finds a way to make it work with some kind of like control-y shells, because it definitely looks like it leans very much towards the slower side. There's a couple things that support like a zoo style, like Acolytes and Duke of Below, if you can find some way to, get decent discards to help you flood boards. But for the most part, I think this is leaning more towards like a control angle. And pretty hard to say. I mean, how quickly can you draw the Cho'Gall? How quickly could you maybe, split the Cho'Gall to cut its cost and play that sooner? Is that even the best thing to split? And do you even want to go with the Cho'Gall plan in the first place? The Curse Chains and the Herald interactions looked really interesting. You just have to be really careful with how you order things. So when you summon something, a random summon will always show up and spawn to the right. So when you Herald, it's going to spawn to the right, and it will be your rightmost thing, so it's going to eat nothing. If, let's say, you don't have Cho'Gall down on the board. So it would be important to Herald first, and then play Curse Chains if you, say, want to have your soldier eat your opponent's minion that you just stole, as an example. And that looks like a pretty powerful thing that Warlock can maybe do, especially if you are able to steal some kind of high-value opponent Death Rattle minion or something. And there will be a lot of Colossals that exist, of course, in this new set. So being able to, just with the cards we see on board, let's say you've already played Shrine of Twilight at some point, you can, for only 2 mana with an open shrine, just steal a thing and make sure that you eat it. Or, 4 mana with like Disciple and then Curse Chains. You just have to order it right and don't go Curse Chains then Disciple and then go, oh god. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It's a new archetype that is kind of like a different way to play, and I always love when something like that gets introduced. As long as it's not like a super toxic game style, which this could be. I don't know. Eating a lot of cards from your opponent's deck. How relevant is that? In when you go like long games with control and fatigue, it's very relevant. If it's just like against an aggro deck, it barely matters. They're not going to care. They didn't even plan on seeing their whole deck anyway. You can go ahead and eat 10 cards from my deck. I'm going to kill you with the cards in my hand. So who knows? Really hard to figure out if this is good or bad. I don't know.
And we no longer have an endless portal of minions that gain +2/+2 at the end of a game. So that matters a little bit more, right? You're not gonna, if you start eating their minions, they're not gonna play, the what's his face there, Kill Jaden, and get minions forever. Ron, on a scale, how long do you think the what do you call it? The visuals are going to take if someone plays the Eldritch Tentacles into your Colossal?
Well, if you're talking about the Hunter Colossal, the tentacles won't be enough to kill it itself. So, we're going to see the 3, then 2, then 1, if we read it correctly. And I think that Colossal things spawn as like 2 health things. So only the first 2 rounds of them will die, but your whole turn. That's what I'm getting at. It's going to take your whole turn. It's going to take until they patch the animations.
Magma's body is going to be huge too, because it'll get a lot of +2 buffs.
Oh yeah,
yes,
stacked.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's no Defile. That's for sure. Defile would be.
No, they're gonna like Curse Chains it, and they're gonna run the tentacles first, to just take forever and annoy the hell out of you, and then they'll Herald and steal it and eat it by the end of the turn, just for kicks.
Oof.
I can see the look on Ron's eyes during stream when this happens. Sid, what are your thoughts on Warlock here?
I mean, I've seen Gorm, and I thus am not a believer in Cho'Gall, but we'll see. Definitely some things that'll be decent though for them in the set.
Yep, that's fair.
Yeah, I think
Pylet.
It's so hard to evaluate, like Ron said, because it's such a different effect. Like, if we had a 4 mana 3/3 battle cry, kill an enemy minion, that's what the Herald plus Curse Chains is, basically. That seems pretty good. It's just so weird how all of them end up interacting together. I will say, for Tentacles, it is the exact same wording on that card as it is on Shell Shot that we had in Hunter. Deal 3 damage to a minion, repeat with 1 less damage. So it should do 3, 2, 1, and then if it's buff, then it'll go down from whatever that number is, and that has been pretty typical for those spell damage cards.
Right on. Makes sense.
2 cards that we didn't talk about are, we have a couple discard support cards that we don't quite have the rest of the discard package around them yet, but we do kind of have something going there to where Tito scrolled and I lost the card. Well, we talked about the disposable acolytes. When you play or discard, get 2 random one cost minions, or summon 2 random 1 cost minions. We also have Duke of Below, a 4 mana 2/2 rush, has +2/+2 for each card you've discarded this game. So if we start getting any more discard stuff, then these start seeing play. We do have the 1 neutral where you choose a card in hand to discard that we've already seen. So there's little bits and pieces that have started to pop up. I can't remember if we keep any other discard things in standard currently, but
if you generate temporary cards and they go away, are they considered discarded?
Yes.
They are.
Okay, so we have ability to do that too. So we have more options.
I will say, just as far as discard goes, it's been a style of play that they've initiated since like the very beginning of Hearthstone, and was kind of always bad in standard. I don't think it's ever been good in standard. They printed a critical mass of discard cards to the point that it was finally good in wild, and then got so good that it had to get nerfed. But I don't think we have that kind of critical mass in standard, and we're not likely to have that during the run of like any discard support cards that exist for Warlock. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's probably not going to be a good archetype for Warlock to play. It won't do very well. And also, just considering with the new expansion that there are plenty of classes that get to play Deathwing, Warlock being one of them, it's probably going to be the primary route that Warlock wants to go, except on a competitive level, I doubt Warlock will see any play because there's going to be stronger Deathwing classes, and people will just forget about Warlock for a whole expansion. That's my prediction for now, but I could be wrong. I don't see things that wow me. I see some potential there, but I think more likely it's just like you spin your wheels and do some things that might be a little bit flashy, but aren't going to win you games.
That's fair. All right, so Priest. I know Tic Tac is happy. At least he seems to be. When I've seen him talking, I thought when we get the location, was it Ruby Sanctum, that we had possibly some kind of Shadow Priest coming back. I don't really feel that way anymore, although I feel like there's potential there. I wish they gave us what's his butt back in the core set so we could do some of that, because we have a lot of potential here, but it's not really going to happen, I don't think. But it looks like they have a lot of good tools here. Ron, what are your thoughts on Priest here?
Well, I always prefer Priest to get bad cards because I just don't like Priest and never have. But this is
hooray!
This particular set looks really good for Priest. I think Priest enjoyers are going to be very happy about this. Ruby Sanctum looks absolutely incredible. Cleansing Cleric looks really, really good for Priest. You've got Purifying Breath as a way that can kind of synergize with those. Schism even looks like a really powerful card that fits Priest style in a lot of ways. Mend is super cheap and a really strong effect, like absurdly strong effect in a lot of ways. And then the expensive stuff actually doesn't wow me all that much, like Alexstrasza and Black Blood, the Colossal. Like, those are meh. But overall, I think Priest is getting a really good set, and I think it'll finally see a lot more play on ladder outside of, your sprinkling of like Protoss Priests. It's been a while since I queued into any Priests, so I think this is going to give a little bit of a comeback to Priest, which I gotta say I'm a little sad about. I just want to keep him down forever,
Speaking of sad about Priest, Sidisi, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I'm not thrilled about Control Priest being just like always on the menu again, but I don't know. It's fun. I don't agree with Delete Priest because I do think it's important that Hearthstone has a proper villain. So if you remove the number one villain, then they'll just move on to a new villain. So we might as well just have it be Priest. But I'm not excited to face some of these. They're probably gonna be really annoying.
Yeah, they look very annoying.
Pylet, you ready for some Priest?
Yeah, I actually like the some of these cards have some interesting flexibility as well, and possible niche cases in some of the other archetypes that haven't had enough support yet. Because a lot of these to where, they deal with full health, or you're wanting to buff the health, and we had, the hand buff your health cards. We still will have the bird Arceus from Unguro in the stays during rotation. So if we have a lot of large health minions, there's something there. Ron already mentioned Alexstrasza. It's not on this photo because it's farther down, because it was revealed on one of the non-class streams. That card's kind of strange and doesn't wow me as much, like Ron said. It looks flashy, but I don't know. I just might not get it. But the Cleansing Cleric is absolutely insane. Just making every heal effect heal 2 more for the rest of the game. And then Ruby Sanctum also works with the 2 mana card. Purifying Breath, deal 5 damage to a minion. If it dies, restore 5 health to the enemy hero. If you Ruby Sanctum, then that says deal 5 and deal 5 if it dies. Or 7 if you've played a cleric. So
or 9 if you played it twice.
There's some purple priests in disguise in a couple of these cards for sure.
Also, one other thing that stuck out to me is there's a lot of really powerful looking even costed cards for priests, and then powerful, like really cheap cards, like the 1 mana cards. So priest is absolutely something that could use the new Gen. Yep. To have, like, a hand full of even costed things as an example, and just like a cheap 1 or something that they can dump. So they play that, they play Gen, all of a sudden now their hero power is healing 4 instead of healing 2, and then they can play the cleric to make it a heal 6. And maybe they're just never dying at that point,
Nothing ever dies.
Kind of gets out of control. So I see some real headaches on the horizon with Priest, and there's a lot of ways to explore for how to build a deck like that.
And they got a nice cycle card in Mend. It's going to be interesting to see how Mend works with Ruby Sanctum, because that's a 1 mana spell, restore a minion to full health, draw a card. That's something I think they needed. And I don't know, would Ruby Sanctum kill a minion? Or would a damage minion? Or I don't know. It's interesting to figure that out.
If you're dealing damage instead, then it would. But I don't know how they characterize the effect. If like restore is considered different from what Ruby Sanctum says, your next healing effect is a restore considered technically a healing effect. If you're restoring to full health, does that mean you can reduce to 0 health if you clicked this first? Probably, maybe. Seems like they're cards that look like they should work together because they were printed together, but I don't actually know how it's going to work.
I feel like someone last week or 2 weeks ago, when Sanctum was announced, so it would have been last week, said something about, don't use that in original Reno to heal to full health. It doesn't work like you want it to. And it sounds like that's something that people have misplayed in Wild, so that's how I'd assume that would work there, but I might be misremembering.
Okay.
All right, well, moving on. Paladin. Paladin looks awesome. I'm not gonna lie. I'm excited. We got a 5 mana legendary Nozdormu again. Like, Nozdormu feel like he's everywhere. At the end of your turn, give your minions Divine Shield. Any that already have one gain +3/+3 instead. We also have another minion that came out that gives all your minions, or any minion that has Divine Shield, has to be popped 3 times in order for the Divine Shield to go away. So that seems really solid if you can find a way to get those 2 out together. Bronze Redeemer is really good too. It's a 5 mana 3/3. The stat line is not great, but at the end of your turn, summon a dragon with stats equal to this minion's. So we're talking some hand buff stuff here. You got Inspiring Maul, which is a 2 mana 2/2 weapon. Death Rattle, trigger a random friendly minion's end of turn effect, which is Nozdormu. So that right there is you swing, and Nozdormu, if you have minions that already have Divine Shields, they're going to get +6/+6. get Dios down there. It could be really, really gross. I mean, obviously, when you say things like that, it's going to be hard to get all those pieces together consistently. But I don't know. There's a lot of good things here. We have an aura that gives a 3-mana aura that gives your minions end of turn effect triggers twice, last 3 turns. So we have some stacking here going on. At the end of your turn, deal 2 damage to all enemies from a 6-mana 3/6. Now all these minions are kind of like low statted, I think, but I think the effects that you're getting from them kind of make up for it. Sid, I know you're not much of things besides Hunter, but what are your thoughts on the Paladin here? Are you looking forward to playing against Paladin? Gonna eat him up?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is an interesting deck to play against. I think the Sand Fury Aura and the Inspiring Maul are somehow going to do something kind of nutty that I'm not prepared for. So I think it's going to be pretty good from the look of this. With the auras and things, we already have a bunch. We have a few things like this already, right? This is adding to.
Yep, and we still have the Fable card, which gives you a couple extra auras and summons all the auras when you play it.
Exactly.
Ron, are you excited? Is Paladin going to make it into your deck rouletting, do you think?
I always deck roulette with anything that isn't priest if it looks interesting enough. I only have one rule for classes that I play on stream, and that's no priest. So I'm sure like this looks pretty interesting. There's some good stuff there. Nozdormu, pretty powerful. Has a solid effect. The Sentry with random discounts could be pretty insane. Sand Fury Aura itself, of course, is a 3-mana holy spell, so Sentry could give you another Sand Fury Aura, which could get really ridiculous because it would cost 0 from the Sentry. But the main thing that jumps out to me just from looking at this already is Aura, Maul, and Bulwark all just in tandem together. As long as you've played a Maul, probably on like turn, I don't know, 4 or 5, and then you line up the Aura on turn 5 into the Bulwark on 6, as long as you have that one remaining charge on the Maul to swing with, you are dealing, it's end of turn twice, and then you're triggering the effect at the end of the turn. So if Bulwark is your only end of turn minion that you'd have on board, which might be the case if you're playing from behind and you need to make a comeback, you've got a not too difficult setup that deals 8 to all enemies. That's pretty insane, and that's a turn 6 play. It requires a 3-card setup, with multiple things, so it's not something you're just going to do every single turn 6. But that is a pretty powerful tool that Paladin can have in its arsenal. And obviously there's multiple different things you can do with the Aura and the Maul, so you're not just like, I need to wait for this for Bulwark. You might be trying to set it up with the Nozdormu. The way that I read the Nozdormu is it would be, if you're triggering the effects twice, it would be giving all of your minions a bubble and then buffing them. So like anything that doesn't have it, and you're assuming that probably you don't have a full bubbled board, right? So you have the Sand Fury Aura up, you have some minions, you drop the Nozdormu, and it's going to give everything Divine Shield, and then it's going to follow that up with give everything +3/+3 all at the same time. Those kinds of things are pretty strong. Combine it with the Maul, do some other things, the Sentry stuff, maybe you're loading up on super cheap things. There's a lot there to like for Paladin. I think it could be a really strong deck. It looks like a very promising direction for the class.
Yeah, but you do that and then they just brawl or corpse explosion. Oh, wait. Interesting. Now,
there's always going to be board clears, Tito.
I know.
There's always going to be a board clear.
Yes, but those two being gone are two very big ones for this type of deck.
True.
Like, it's a lot more difficult to find your way through these without a brawl or corpse explosion. Flame Strike doesn't do anything. Like, there's a lot of damage base that just doesn't do anything because of the Divine Shields.
Nope. But you also have to have not just the Nozdormu, but you also have to have a board that sticks. So you're going to be playing Paladin. You're probably going to be very aggressive on making sure they don't keep a board around early turns. It's going to be interesting. Now, Sand Fury Aura does say end of return effects trigger twice, not again. So I think that if you have 2 Sand Fury auras, you're still only going to get 2 ticks of that effect. So it's not going to give you +3/+3 and then +3/+3 and then +3. So I think that's worded very carefully on that one. But yeah, no, I'm excited for Paladin. Pylet, are you excited for Paladin? Are you excited to watch me play Paladin?
I really like this. I really like this Paladin set, and I really like that's a kind of, a slightly different direction, kind of making this end of turn thing for Paladin, since they made auras a Paladin mechanic, and now they've kind of expanded to give Paladin end of turn stuff. I really, really like the set of cards. I really like that Sand Fury Aura says your minions also, and not your cards end of turn effects. That way, it's just not doubling all the Gelbin stuff that you're doing. So you have to be a little bit more specific with it. We also got, again, it's not in this picture because it's farther down, but the Triumph card that Gelbin got is, get a random Paladin Aura, and it lasts for an extra turn. So that's something that is now in this pool as well.
One of the interesting things too, I think, is going to trip up a lot of people is the order at which the end of turn effects happen matter, but I think on how the order of which you played them and all that. So you're going to play Nor's Dormu into Bronze Redeemer, and you're going to be like, whether you have them reduced, however you do it, but whether or not, so Bronze Redeemer summons the dragon and Nor's Dormu does the thing he does, and if you've played Nor's Dormu first, he's going to do the things, and then Bronze Redeemer is going to summon the dragon, and I know I'm going to misorder like a million times and get frustrated every time, but it's going to be fine. So just remember that with these end of turn effects, it's just like death rattles, just like whatever, order matters. So just keep that in mind.
There are a couple decent neutral end of turns that could slot in with that aura as well. We have a hand buff Hourglass Tenant. We have the Earthen Drake that's from this set that now deals 8 damage to the enemy hero at the end of the turn for 5 mana.
And Dragon for some Paladin Dragon synergy.
Yeah.
If that winds up being relevant, I don't know.
And we still can imbue dragons, so we'll see what happens. Could be fun. All right, so Shaman. Pylet, you want to get us started with Shaman here?
Yeah, Shaman got some interesting cards. We finally see Shaman cards. We didn't have any last week when we talked. So we got the Colossal and the other legendary. Alakir, Lord of Storms is the Colossal, an 8 mana 2/8 elemental Colossal +2, Rush and Wind Fury, not charge. Battlecry, get 2 minions with cost equal to this minion's attack. They cost 1. And the appendages are the Charge Hands of Alakir, and they are 1 mana 1/2 elementals. Adjacent minions have +1 attack, herald twice to upgrade. So as they are upgraded, it'll be +2 attack and then +4 attack. So at a base level, Alakir, no heralds, is a 4/8. So you'll be getting 2 4-cost minions, and then it'd be what? Then 8 costs. And probably max of 10 unless we have some weird minions from that off of the Battlecry. For the Herald cards, we got a 2-cost nature spell, Ritual of Power, Herald Alakir, get 2 1/1 elementals with Rush, and then a 2 mana 0/3 elemental Taunt Battlecry, Herald Alakir. So both of those will summon a soldier that gives the attack as well. So what do we think of the Colossal?
I am glad it does not have charge.
I don't think they could get away with printing that.
No. They couldn't print.
It seems fun.
They couldn't print that with charge and print the Demon Hunter one at the same time. People would be very upset with 2 of those.
I mean, so this is kind of a thing that Shaman's already been doing, right? Like summoning big minions, like what was the spell that we were just been using?
Nebula
and stuff. So this kind of feels like right along with what Shaman's been doing. Yeah, it seems fine. The appendages don't have Rush themselves, so I think that's fine. Yeah, but it's all about placement again. So you get this guy down, and then you have to figure out how you're gonna board placement is going to matter a lot more than it used to this expansion, because every once in a while it matters, especially if like you generate Grom, like a good hunter. But outside of that, usually the board you'll stick things around locations and stuff like that, but you got to make sure you're getting things right, and otherwise it's just not going to work. But I like this. The Herald cards seem okay. Yeah, this is pretty good. What Ron, what do you think?
Unfortunately, we don't have one of the more interesting shaman cards that got revealed on the graphic, which is Muradin's Last Stand. 9 mana, draw 2 cards, costs 1 less for each time a friendly character attacked this game. Because that's basically 0 mana, draw 2. Yes. Or at least it will be at some point in the game, which is huge. Getting to run 2 copies of 0 mana, draw 2 in your deck is really, really good for a card game. And that's going to be probably a staple in all shaman decks. As far as Alakir, that's a pretty huge stat bomb. I think that is highly likely to make it into shaman decks because it will summon big things. The Alakir is going to get buffed right away from the appendages that show up next to it, and it will gain that attack, and also has Rush Wind Fury. So you're just doing a whole lot of things. It's not a passive turn. It's a way to make a comeback on board, clear up something from your opponent, and also summon scary things. So turn 8 for Shaman, or possibly a little bit sooner, will be very scary a lot of the time. As far as the support cards around it, I don't know. They don't look all that impressive. I'm not sure what we're doing outside of Alakir and Deathwing and Heralding, and obviously Muradin's Last Stand to draw more cards and do those things. Morchok looks probably just bad. I mean, maybe it's a 0 mana 10/10 some of the time, because the thing that you draw from it, or things, is going to be, really good, but you probably can't afford to play that and hope that the thing that you draw is going to also be playable, to just have, I spent all my mana and I didn't play a taunt or rush or anything that impacts the game state, so I'm going to lose immediately. I don't know about that card. Maybe it winds up finding some home. It's like there's some really powerful looking pieces and it's still missing something. I don't know enough about the existing core set, or what that supports Shaman, but Shaman hasn't been much of a player in the meta lately. I think it might need a little bit more, although there's some really powerful stuff. If there's something I'm not seeing, or it gets a little more support, it could be a major competitive contender.
Oh, keep in mind too that if you're fully heralded, so the minions have +4 attack, and you play Alakir, and he's going to generate minions cost of his power. The number of minions that you get at 10 mana is a small pool always, and especially at the 4 set. So you're probably going to generate more chalk more than you're going to play him off of Alakir, and he's going to cost 1. And then you're just going to be able to play that next turn, or coin it out, or whatever it might be, and then follow up Alakir Lord of Storms with another big temple play. And we're not summoning the minions from Alakir. We are getting 1 mana minions to play, and so the battle cries are still valid and all that. Mm-hmm. So
I didn't read that part. Yeah, no, that makes it significantly worse. I mean, obviously, in some ways there's an upside, like, I generated a Morchok so I can do insane things on the next turn. You just have to hope that Alakir is enough on its own as a stat bomb to remove your opponent's board and be scary, or you have it's a turn 9 and you're playing one of the things. But I didn't realize that. I thought it was actually going to summon them. Like, wow, that's crazy. No, it's not nearly as good as I thought it was. I had to read more of the card.
But you get the battle cries, and you can kind of target certain even tiers depending on what you're doing, right? So there might be some kind of brokenness thing here. I don't know. We'll see. Sid, are you excited for playing against Shaman?
I don't know. Shaman seems okay. I'm not scared of Shaman. I'm intrigued by Morchok. I think I disagree with Ron on this one. I think I would love to play some Morchok, just for the highlight reel moments. It's probably terrible, but I think I would enjoy this card a lot. Maybe I'll find a way to get it in Hunter somehow.
It looks fun. It's just like a lot of times I see something that costs 10 that doesn't immediately do something or is reliant on do something that could be really strong, but also it's random, and I just read lose the game.
Oh yeah. That's me and my Murazond idea. Yeah.
Like summon a board full of random dragons and then give your opponents 2 turns, right?
So you kill all their stuff. Don't forget about that part.
Battle cry, lose the game. Is a lot of times the text I read on cards like this, but it definitely has some really interesting applications. Maybe there's some kind of control shell where you're so far ahead that you can afford to, spend 10 mana and not have anything happen if you wind up bricking on the draws from this, and it's fine. And then you can do something broken and win.
Now, I was thinking that we were going to get some like spell damage, some kind of burn shaman when we were initially kind of coming into this, and it doesn't look like we're getting that. Pylet, are you excited to play some shaman?
I am, but I also just don't know what the shell is, like we've already talked about. It's definitely, most of these lend themselves to a control shell. And Morchok is such a weird card to evaluate because, it's just drawing any card and reducing the cost. So I don't think we have anything that costs more than 10 in standard anymore. So you're going to be able to play whatever you get, and then if you draw something that costs 3, it's going to keep drawing and keep reducing until it runs out of reduction. So it could be a 10 mana, draw a few cards that are free and hope that one of them does something. It's just, it depends on how much we need that card to do something on that turn, or if we can just plop down a 10 mana 10/10, get some free cards, and see what happens next turn.
It might draw Deathwing.
It might.
You might have a deck that is mostly board clears and Deathwing, and then when you drop Morchok, you know that he's either going to draw you Deathwing or discount your board clears enough to clear and then have Deathwing for the next turn. You go draw, and they're all cheap enough, and then you discounted Deathwing a little bit with the leftover something. I don't know. Like, there could be something there. I don't know, and it looks incomplete. That's my main sense of the Shaman set, is it looks like it needs more.
And the other thing too is we've been talking about these decks, how they work. A lot of these decks might not matter. How like you do these things and you play Deathwing and you win, right? So I guess we'll see. We'll see how strong Deathwing ends up being. What do you Sid? What do you think about Deathwing? Are you excited for that card to be in like half your games?
I think it's BS that we don't get to use it in Hunter, but
right?
It's kind of
it drives me crazy. It's Excavate all over again. Well, just give us the cool one.
Where's my cool Highlander card then? But what's my
Oh my god!
Like, at least we got something cool being the good guys last time. What's the cool
we got
thing?
Shatter this time.
Shatter. Come on, no. There's got to be a card that makes. No.
Yeah.
No.
I know.
If these
Colossal 99.
If half the classes get Galakron, I want something.
Yeah, right?
Magma took up all the space.
They keep doing that, and it can be exceedingly frustrating to be a Hunter main when it's like, we have decided to create an extremely cool thing that half the classes get, and guess what? You're once again left out for like the 3rd or 4th time on the coolest thing from this expansion. You get the other one. I mean, at least Highlander was pretty cool, but like still, the other one was cooler. Excavate was way cooler. Yeah. Deathwing, way cooler. Stop it. Stop. Just give it to everybody.
Well, look, if there's not a Dragon Queen Alexstrasza in the last reveals, then we're gonna have to riot.
True. Yeah.
And that's the problem, right? Is because usually these cool effects go to the bad guys, right? And Hunter is considered one of the good guys. So so they need to have like this really cool effect, because it's normally not like the good guys oppressing the bad guys, because then that becomes problematic. Hits a little too close to home maybe, but Yeah, no, I feel you. I think Deathwing is going to be. We haven't really talked about it because it's like it's been revealed, and now we're not theory crafting, and we're not seeing decks. We're just seeing all the new cards for each class. But yeah, Deathwing's out there. He's going to be in a lot of games. He's going to impact a lot of these strategies, and we're just going to have to deal with it and figure it out as we go.
Yep.
I do really like Ceremonial Clash. We kind of skipped over that card because it's the one that doesn't fit with anything else that they revealed. But I think we've seen this effect from Shaman before. It's a 4 mana, summon a random 3, 2, and 1 cost minion, overload 1. Normally when we see this, it costs way too much for the mana cost that we're getting. I think that 4 mana is an okay number that this could see more play than the ones we have seen in the past.
Yeah, you claim this on turn 3. It's a good tempo.
It seems handmade to be played with Crackling Cloud Strider. I'm just not really sure either of those cards are good enough to put in the deck, but it's an interesting looking effect, and I mean, it might be all right.
Yeah. All right, so moving on to Warrior. We got a few cards here. Pylet, go ahead.
Yeah, so Warrior, we got more than just Rag revealed finally. We have the Herald cards, a 4 mana, 4/3 dragon, Scorching Ravager, Battlecry, Herald Ragnaros, give the soldier Rush, so that'll let you trigger the Death Rattle right away. And then we got a 3 mana, 3/2 weapon, Cataclysmic War Axe, Battlecry, Herald Rag. Outside of that, we got some fire spells and some fire spell package here. We have a 6-cost fire spell Decimation, deal 1 damage to all minions, improve for each minion on the battlefield. Erupting Volcano, a 3-cost location with 3 durability, deal 3 damage, randomly split among enemies. If you played a fire spell this turn, deal 3 more. 1-cost spell Torch, deal 8 damage to a random minion, return this to hand with any excess damage. And then a 2-cost fire spell, Searing Fissure, deal 1 damage to all minions, give your hero +3 attack this turn. So some fire spells and some control tools for Hunter. I don't think that it, all replaces them losing Brawl, but I think that they have enough tools between this and things we've seen in the past year to at least have enough removal tools to figure out what they need for a given meta between these, Shelnado, some of the other ones that we've seen in the past few sets to keep Control Warrior going.
Am I insane, or does Torch seem like an insane card?
Yes.
It does have the requirement that it has to be damaged first, but it looks like there's enough abilities to deal damage to everything or most. Like even just Fissure plus Torch together looks like it could be really good.
Yep.
Ron, you excited about running into some Warrior or playing some Warrior?
I mean, I'm going to be happy to play some Warrior. They have Ragnaros. They have Deathwing. They have some cool looking cards. That'll for sure make the rotation for me for different things to mess around with. In general, I'll probably play most of the Deathwing classes because Deathwing and Heralding type stuff looks like it could be really cool and fun. And if I stuck to only Hunter, I'd miss out. And I wouldn't get to do that cool stuff because, they decided Hunter doesn't get to have that cool stuff. So, it's going to be like, I'm not sure exactly what the deck looks like, if it's like going heavily control with some power spike win cons, or if there's anything that can be a little bit more proactive. Definitely looks like it leans more on the control side. But Dragon Warrior is still a thing that's currently in the meta that's losing like nothing. Basically nothing. And more dragons are getting printed. You could just see Dragon Warrior that like runs Ragnaros or runs Deathwing or something as just a top end that replaces some other top end that it had before. That could be like a premier beat 'em up deck. And that might be really good. I think Warrior's in a pretty good spot. I think they have a lot of really cool cards. There's some powerful things there. The ones on the screen right now aren't like super powerful outside of maybe Decimation, which could be disgusting. And Volcano looks like it could definitely have some really powerful applications, but they already have a lot of stuff that's just really good. and adding Ragnaros and Deathwing to existing really good stuff and getting good neutral dragons, Warrior's going to be good.
Yeah, I mean, decimation into an erupting volcano puts damage, 6 damage face. That's probably not bad either. So Sid, what do you think? Are we going to get a little Red Hunter going here?
I mean, looks like it's going to put out a lot of damage, right? I mean, it's just, I think I agree with everything Ron said, where there could be all kinds of flavors of like a dragon beatdown deck with some of this extra burn in it. So, but yeah, Rag just seems good. It just seems like it goes in a lot of decks.
Yeah, you're just like naturally like just you can run Rag with 0 Herald cards, just as a top end for aggro, and it's good. You know, any death rattles that happen to find their way in the deck, good. Seems good.
Have you guys felt like they put out Rag first and we're all like, yeah, this is lots of damage, it's going to be big, and like, oh, I can't wait to see the other Colossals, and the other Colossals have been kind of like, after seeing Rag. Like, Rag should have been the last one, I think, because it was probably like so far the most exciting one, and the other ones, like, you know, the Demon Hunter one's really cool. A lot of them are interesting and cool, but after seeing what Rag is doing, I kind of felt like a little wind sucked out of the rest of them. What do you guys think?
I mean, it's like one of the most iconic lore cards in Hearthstone that we have too. Just not the new one, obviously, but just Ragnaros in general, like that is a thing that people just have such an emotional attachment to, going back to like 2014 as well. So that was always going to kind of be the standout. I'm kind of with you on that maybe, you know, it's a hard balance to strike. Do you want to build the hype early with one of your coolest cards, but then each subsequent reveal is like, this isn't as cool as that one? Or do you want to save it for later? I don't know. It's a fine line to walk, and I'm not sure which way is better, but it is a bit of a letdown to see Ragnaros is a Colossal. Oh my god. And then here's some other Colossals.
Ragnaros is hard countered by Magma, though. So.
Yeah. Nutty.
It's
Pylet,
also,
you excited for Warrior here?
Yeah, kind of. I think I mentioned this last week with the Colossals. Like, it's also really hard. I think it's harder for us to gauge our expectations because over half the Colossals had to have appendages that didn't need the main body because of the soldiers and because of Herald, and that made it a lot different for them to design them compared to the previous ones where every single Colossal tied in with the main body in some way pretty much, except for maybe the Mage one. So I think that made it I think our expectations were a little bit weird because of that also, but I definitely understand where that's from because they're less flashy this time, but I still think that most of them are going to find their place just as well as the last set. But yeah, Warrior seems solid. Decimation is such a weird one to evaluate because of it requiring minions on board to ramp up, and it does say, you know, any minion on the battlefield. So if you are building up a board, if you've got, you know, little things left over from whatever, then it builds up the damage as well, to where then you can be like, oh, I can send these face and then I do 8 damage to blow up the board. So I think it's going to find an interesting spot, especially depending on how many token decks we see compared to how many colossal large minions we see.
What's Magma's health?
12. 12?
12.
That sounds right.
You can potentially clear it. You know there's always be 7 on one side. Depends on how many you have on your side.
Yeah.
All right, so we have some assorted other reveals to finish up with. Especially all these Triumph cards seem to be really good. Are there any ones that I don't think any of them haven't hit, right? I mean, so we have Alex. Let's go through them. We have legendary Alexstrasza, Guardian of Life, which is a 7-mana 8/8 dragon. Battlecry: set your remaining health to 15. When you reach full health, deal 15 damage to your opponent. Now, I don't understand this card really, because doesn't it just do 15 damage to your opponent right there?
So it's not changing your max life, correct? That's why it says remaining health.
Yeah. So your max health is 30, like at the beginning of every game, and this card will set your remaining to 15. So if you have, let's say, 25 health at the time that you play this card, you're essentially taking 10 damage by playing this card. If you are playing this card when you're below 15 health, it's going to put you up to 15, but you'll still max out at 30, so you won't be at full health till you get to 30, unless there's some other effects going on.
Okay. So yeah, it might be there'll be something. This will be either as I think, Ron, you like to say, this will either be broken or non-playable.
I don't know. I feel like it says battle cry, lose the game, but like maybe there's something that a control priest can do that winds up making it really powerful instead. I just feel like they're gonna have better options and better plays with their 7 mana on almost every single turn that won't justify having this as a dead card a lot of the time. If you're far enough behind that you need this to heal, you're also probably far enough behind on board that you're just going to die to what your opponent does after playing this anyway. So, like, I don't really see it, but I don't know. Ultimately, I think my take on this card is I'm glad that it got printed for Priest because it kind of looks like it sucks.
Well, you just play this, and then you play like a 1 mana copy of the Murzon that fills your port with dragons, heals you to full, does 15 damage to your opponent. They have 2 turns, but they've just got 15 more damage. Clearly, you win the game then, right?
Yeah.
Sid, are you glad that Priest got apparently what might looks like not a good card?
This will be an annoying win con for Control Priest someday, somehow.
That's fair.
And all these, so the Triumph cards they're all the hero guys. So you guys, for everyone that doesn't have Deathwing, they have a Triumph card, right? So
Yes.
We have Azura's Triumph, which is a 1 mana shuffle 5. This is Druid. Shuffle 5 random minions into your deck that cost 8 or more, double their stats. We have Geblin's Triumph, which is 1 mana, get a random Paladin aura. It lasts an additional turn.
Are these our Deathwing? Sorry to interrupt, but are these our Deathwing? Is this what the good guys get? Just the Triumphs? Is that it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and Shattered.
Are we going to get a dragon that says, like, your next Shatter card is free or something? Like, can that happen?
So, I will say, based on numbers, we probably still have 1 more neutral legendary to come with the final reveal. So, that's where we can get our hopes up.
They're saving something for Kibler. They got something. Kibler's gonna. They brought Kibler back from MTG at least for a day. They're going to.
He likes dragons. It's known.
True.
Yeah. But so you got Sylvanas Triumph, which is the Hunter one, which is Ron was talking to about before, which is 2 mana, deal 3 damage. If you played another copy of this, hit all enemies instead. You got Wild Circle, which is wait, hold on.
Not a Triumph card.
Druid is 2. Oh no, that's not
just got revealed at the same time.
Gotcha. I was like, wait a second. Okay, so that's Wild Circle is a 3 mana shatter summon 2/2 treants. Give your minions death rattle summon a 2/2 treant. I don't get why they got rid of apples or whatever they got rid of. They got rid of one of the cards from because it looks like they almost have a critical mass of treants, but I don't know if that's going to be any good. Priest has Medivh's Triumph, which is 5 mana, deal 4 damage to all minions, cost 1 if you control a legendary card. And then Mage has 5 mana, Cinder Ghost's Triumph, deal 8 damage to a minion, reduce the cost of a random card in your hand by the excess damage. This whole excess damage thing is kind of like they always have like these hidden, not keyword things they add, like when you trade it in, it gives plus, every time you trade it gets +1/+1 or whatever. There's always like this one kind of mechanic that they're like, we're going to throw a mechanic in that doesn't have a keyword. And this excess seems to be kind of it this time around. Ron, are you excited for these Triumph cards?
I'm excited for Sylvanas' Triumph. The rest of them don't look good.
Medivh might get nerfed,
Azura's
right?
might be insane.
Isn't
Yeah, Sylvanas might get nerfed.
No, I'm sorry. I said Medivh. I think Medivh's Triumph might get nerfed.
Oh, you think Medivh's Triumph might get nerfed?
Because it's going to be stupid in Quest Priest, isn't it? For 1 mana?
I mean,
Yeah,
how
that does
often do they
technically cost
have a
one.
legendary card on board? It's not holding
The
one,
quest-
it's
quest-
controlling
Quest
one.
counts.
The quest is a legendary card.
Oh, the quest counts.
So in Quest Priest, this is always a 1 mana deal 4 to
right.
everything.
Yeah, card, not minion. Oh, wow. Yeah, all right. Well, that might make Quest Priest kind of annoying. Is Quest Priest actually going to be good, though?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, it hasn't been good.
Probably
I don't know.
not, since we lose the drink. That was the main shadow spell.
Tic Tac thinks it's going to be good.
I suppose it might wind up being pretty toxic. And then, yeah, because I wasn't thinking about that application. In which case, yeah, that could make this, like, really annoying. Gelbins, I'm not really sold on. The random thing, and it doesn't cast it, it puts it in your hand, and a lot of them are kind of bad. Like, you might hit one that's great, and because it's cheap, maybe it's fine, and maybe you just want more auras, but I'm not really all that sold on it. Ajara's might be good, but I don't know. I mean, they're really expensive. And didn't Druid lose like a whole bunch of ramps? So I don't even know if they can get to ramp to the thing where, obviously those minions are crazy statted, but will it matter? Will you draw them in time? Will you have the mana to play them in time before you die? Sylvanas Triumph, really good. Medivh's, I suppose, may be broken with the quest. And then Syndragosa's, yikes. That's trash. Oh my god, you gotta pay 5 for that? What kind of hand do you have that you pay 5 for that, and then either you have like a bunch of really expensive cards in your hand so that whatever one you hit, oh great, it got the discount, so I can now do the power spike thing, or you might hit a random one that you really didn't want to discount. That's horrible. It's a horrible card. It's terrible. Absolute garbage. No way I put this in any mage deck ever, unless there's some crazy thing that I'm not seeing. Yeah, that's one of the worst cards on the set to me.
Yeah,
It's a meme.
I
It's
might
a
be
meme
totally
combo,
wrong.
right?
The only chance for the mage
yeah,
one
it
is
looks
the
like
spell deck.
some like totally meme crazy thing. Or oh, maybe I'll hit my 1 in 6 on the thing in my hand to discount the super important one and not one of the other ones that makes me concede immediately. Yikes.
Yeah, we barely ran. We had, I forget what the name of the card is, but we had the 5 mana deal 8 and summon an elemental with stats equal to excess damage, and that saw play like 15% of the time that it was in standard, and I think it was mainly because we had a no minion mage, so we had to play it in that deck. This I don't see there being a chance unless we get some major, ways to discount this spell to play it, but we're losing Primordial Glyph, so we can't play it for 3 mana either. Sylvanas is really good. Gelbins, I think, is going to be better than expected because we lose some of the bad auras that you would get from it. Because like Celestial Aura rotates. That's if you have exactly 1 minion in play, its attack and health are 10. We lose Crafter's Aura, so we lose a couple of those more expensive bad ones, which gives more a chance of hitting Acceleration or even just Chronological Aura to get an extra turn of an extra dragon. I think that's going to be a little bit better with those rotating, but I don't know how much.
That's fair.
Do we know if the Fabled auras would be in that pool?
No idea.
Because then they're not good. I mean, they're not good without Gedlin. I mean, they're not good if you're not casting them from your deck most of the time.
I was thinking that it would give you the possibility of generating a Fabled Aura, which made me think that the card would be worse, but maybe not.
Yeah, I have absolutely no idea.
It could curate the pool.
Because normally we can't generate any of the other Fabled cards, correct?
I think so, but I don't know how this would work because there's so few auras. I mean, it's the classic Hearthstone thing where it's like there's plenty of precedent for how you would expect this to work. So anyway, it's a coin flip as to how it's going to work when you play it for the first time. Or in this case, multiple times, because it's always random. You might not know after 10 tries.
Yeah, that's fair. And like Syndragosa is probably not a card you run in a deck, but you'll probably at some point be happy you generated it at 2 mana less, and it does things. But I don't think it's going to be anything that's there.
Does Primordial Glyph still exist? I guess we could. Oh,
it rotates.
Oof.
We get Ruined Orb instead.
Syndragosa's Triumph got even worse.
Yeah, it rotates.
Yikes.
Pocket Dimension rotates for the Dragon deck for the Syndragosa deck, so less chance to roll into this with it being discounted and casting more than once. So
Unlucky.
it's very, very awkward unless we get a huge arcane spell set in the next two.
Yeah, and that's the thing. A lot of these cards may not be playable now, but like, I wouldn't be surprised if we're playing Quest Priest when we're at a 5 set or a 6 set when they have a more critical mass of shadow spells and holy spells that possibly kind of take this and all that. But I don't think we're going to see that right now. All right, is that? Oh no, we have more cards. I forgot we have more cards.
Yeah, we have the Last Stands also, which some of these we already talked about. Because we already talked about Muradin's Last Stand, which is the Shaman 9 mana, draw 2 cards, cost 1 less for each time a friendly character attacked this game, so it costs 0. I think fairly reliably in the decks that you're going to play it in. We have Broxigar's Last Stand, deal 2 mana, deal 1 to all minions, draw a card for each that died. Garonis is a 2 mana tradable spell, destroy a legendary minion. Rafam's Last Stand, 3 mana, deal 2 to 2 random enemy minions, upgrades each turn. Logosh's Last Stand, 5 mana, give a minion Death Rattle, summon a random minion from your hand. And then Talanji's Last Stand for Death Knight, 5 mana, 2 Unholy Runes, give your minions Death Rattle, summon a random 4-cost minion. So Muradin's is the strongest out of these, I think, for sure. I think Talanji's will find a place in the Unholy because we don't lose too many things from that, and we can find a way to build, a sticky enough board to then play this on it and make it even more. The others, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Gurnet's Last Stand sees a little bit of play when we start seeing whatever Ziliax is the Ziliax that we see, or if Colossals are really always there. So, yeah, I mean, these, so I guess they Deathwing classes do get their own version of that last thing. So they get these Last Stands. I don't know. These all seem good. Broxigar seems fine. Like deal 1 damage to all minions, draw a card for each one that died. That feels like it's like, some instant potential there. If you run into the Colossal for Hunter, you do that, and then you draw 6 cards. That seems good. Granted, you make a big minion that's going to punch you in the face, but what are you going to do? Gen's Curse King is a weird one. 4 mana, 5/4 legendary that reads, when holding this, if the rest of your hand is all even or odd, transform into the Worgen King. And the Worgen King is a 4 mana, 6/5 battle cry. Upgrade your starting hero power at cost 1. Luckily, you don't have to work on the math because it's just going to it's just going to switch as you are there. I wonder if every time you draw a card, if you draw 6 cards, it's going to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. But it does the math for you. You don't have to, because it's like the rest of your hand. So you have to have odd to get the even to get the odd. I don't know. It's weird. But this seems like a very strong hero power. You're not going to play it in Demon Hunter, but outside of that, everything seems pretty good. Is this a card we're playing? Are we getting a 1 mana hero power in Hunter?
I think Gen could be extremely good and might show up in multiple decks. It certainly enables like whole different potential archetypes on its own. The way that this card looks like to me is whenever you hit the all even or all odd condition while this card is in hand, it will transform. And then it's not going to transform back. It's just permanently transformed. So you're going to let's say, you have a handful of odd cards and you top deck Gen. It's rest of your hand doesn't count himself, so the odd cards on hand plus him means he'll transform into the Worgen King, and you can then play him whenever you want to, regardless of what the constitution of your hand looks like for the rest of the game, get that effect. And that can be really, really strong in multiple classes. For Hunter, it turns a hero power into a 1 mana deal 3 to your opponent's face. For Priest and Warrior, it becomes a 1 mana heal 4 or gain 4 armor. There's lots of traditionally like really strong hero power effects from the odd and even Witchwood days that are going to look really good with a card like this if it happens to maybe lean more with a higher concentration of a particular type of cost, either odd or even. It would also naturally be more of a home in aggressive decks that have like a smaller amount of total cards in hand most of the time because they're just trying to play stuff. And that also really helps, for instance, Hunter. Among all the aggro style classes, that would be one of the ones that would maybe benefit the most from just having cheap aggressive cards to try to play early as possible, then slam again, and all of a sudden you're doing a lot of damage with it. I think this card will see play. I think it'll see play in multiple different classes, and it's really hard to know exactly how it's going to go and how awkward it might get to where, oh, I keep having something that makes it impossible to activate this, so it's never good and it's a waste of a card, and now I need to delete the deck. Like, maybe that could happen, but maybe it just needs some tinkering to find like the optimal deck build to make it good, and then it becomes really good. So I'm interested in this one.
I really hope you're wrong and that the card does change every time you switch. I know it doesn't read that way. It probably doesn't, but I really want to see people coin this out and then concede.
You just want to watch the world burn, Tito?
Well, it'll be me most of the time.
Yeah, it definitely,
it'll be like whatever.
It definitely
I mean,
works
if
the way
it
that
switched
Ron...
back and forth, then it's a garbage card, and
Yeah.
it would never get included in a deck, and people would get pissed off and delete it and complain on Reddit like crazy. But it would be funny. I'll grant you that.
It shouldn't switch back and forth because it straight up transforms into the other card,
Right.
and the Worgen King doesn't have that text on it.
Right.
But then I don't get why we do it. Like, it's just like, why not just give us again the Warning King? So you have to wait maybe one turn? I don't know. It's
a deck
well, no,
builder.
you can
I guess
play
it's
this card
flavor.
right on
Turn
turn
curve.
3 with coin if you want, as long as you've met the condition in hand.
Yeah. Sid, are you ready to do 3 damage with Hunter for 1 mana?
I'm intrigued. I feel like the advantage of the different hero powers for Hunter was when it was just at the start of the game. So, I guess I've been playing a lot of Face Hunter, and you want to be able to play your Arrow Retriever and draw 3. Maybe you want to draw off Quick Shot, and I guess once you start putting in a lot of, like, we're running Confront the Tol'vir, right? Because that replaces all our 1 mana spells. So we have this 3-cost cards. We probably want to play the Sisters. We probably want to play Neri. We probably want to play this. So I don't know. Maybe like Ron said, it's just about figuring out the really low curve build that Gen goes in. But I don't know.
It's probably odd. You'd lean much more towards like, I want to include as many odd cards as I can and try to keep out some even cards so I could do this. But yeah, I mean, it is tough to not be able to have access to the deal damage hero power for a little bit longer. Also reminds me of a permanent gripe with upgraded hero powers. Priest and Warrior get 4, we get 3. It's messed up. It's messed up.
Not fair.
Okay, I read this card wrong, and I was thinking it was your hand size. So that's why I was like, what's going on here? All right, well, you say that makes a lot more sense. There's much more of a condition there. I was like, because I thought it was like, well,
if you have an empty hand, he's active immediately. If you have a hand of 2 cards that both say 1 mana or both say 2 mana, he's active immediately. And he transforms, and then he just stays transformed.
If you
And
have
to be
2
fair,
cards
he's
sold in
also-
one hand, he's active.
I have 10 2-cost cards in my theory craft I'm working on for Face Hunter. So I don't know. It'd be tough to get. Maybe we can whittle it down, but a lot of the 2-costs have to go into Face Hunter, I feel like. But I feel like we can make it work better than other classes.
Yeah,
like you said.
I don't know. It's like, I feel like it might just have more of a home in a control deck like Warrior or Priest that just wants to get the +4. And it also, like, again, drives me crazy that upgraded hero power versus upgraded hero power, you always lose if you're Hunter versus Priest or Warrior. Not only does it negate it, but they actually get plus an additional 1. So it's definitely stronger just as an effect in those classes.
What do you mean plus an additional 1? You mean plus additional 3 or 5 after they play that new Battlecry minion?
Oh boy.
I do like that this is at least also is not a 4 mana do nothing. It's a 4 mana 6/5. That's not nothing. So I don't know. Are you excited about again here, Pylet?
Yeah, I think I'm most excited because it's very anti-Elise for deck building. So, we have something that if people want to play this new card, they can't just throw in an Elise deck because Elise, straight up makes it much more difficult to do this effect. So when we see whatever changes coming down the pipeline for Elise plus this, maybe that'll lower the population, hopefully. But yeah, it's a very interesting card. It is tougher with it not being a beginning of game effect because you lose those first few turns of the upgrade, and especially if you don't get to play this right away on 4 for the upgrade, it's going to be basically a useless card in some decks. It's definitely, I think, going to be a very high mulligan outlier for the decks that are able to get it activated. If you can, if you have this in your mulligan, you're able to get it to transform on turn 1 or 2 and then just have it right away, then it's going to be really strong. But if you don't, then you're sitting there with a dead card for way too long.
All right, and yeah, fair. So we have one more card to look at, I believe, and this
Yes.
is the yes. This one is extremely interesting. 6 mana, 6/6 Varanoth, Battle Cry. If the total cost of your starting minions was 100, split 100 stats among minions in your deck. Now, this is not start of game because that would be gross, but this is a battle cry. So if this is the second to last card that you have, and then you have a 1 mana 1/1, that is now a 1 mana 101 that you'd be playing.
No.
This is no.
It's 100 stats. So it would be
it'd get plus 50, plus 50.
plus 50, plus 50, or some variance of that.
The devs have confirmed that it splits the stats equally among all the minions in your deck. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so apologies, 50/50. But still, a 1 mana 50/50 wouldn't be bad at the end of a game. That kind of would give you that value. You're like, oh, 1/1, what am I going to do with that? No, it's a 1 mana 50/50. This card is ridiculous. I don't think it's going to be good. Again, it's one of those ones that's either going to be bad or broken. If someone figures out what to do with this could be bad. If you can tutor it out, play it early. After you play the druid card that gives you all those extra double stats, this is black rock and roll, but worse, kind of. I don't see this. I see this trying to make this work and not, but it's going to be really cool when you do it for you have that game that things happen, you get it on turn 4 or something, and it goes nuts. Ron, how excited are you about this card? Well said. Sid.
It looks
Evan Scale
like
Scout. Evan Scale
it looks
Scout.
kind of memey. It might have some upside. Yeah, obviously Evan Scale Scout is like a dream concept with this, but I feel like the things that you're doing in between that concept will just wind up in you losing the game, probably. Like, I don't know. Maybe somebody makes this like really powerful, but I don't know exactly how that happens. It's an interesting, unique effect. It's cool to have interesting, unique effects in the game. You first have to draw it, then you have to play it for 6 and basically do nothing on 6, and it's kind of late in the game to do nothing, and then I guess the rest of your deck needs to really do something fast. I think it's probably bad.
Sanctuary. Rip Parrot Sanctuary, man.
Yeah.
It makes cards like this so much more fun.
I miss Parrot Sanctuary already, and it hasn't even rotated yet. The only thing I don't miss about Parrot Sanctuary rotating is the fact that it was given to 2 other classes.
Right? It's BS.
Unbelievable. These people always trolling us.
Yeah.
All right, well,
I think I'm most excited for the clip where Sid finally gets this to work, and it's against a rogue that Nightmare fuels into charge Dark Gift.
Oh yeah!
Oh my god!
That
Deja vu me when I finally draw the scout or something.
That's gonna be the clip. Yeah, I mean it's a meme card. It's a fun meme card. I'd rather them have goofy cards like this than some of the other ones.
Yeah, when I first heard about it, I thought it was start of the game effect. And I was like, oh, that's gross. No, it's a battle cry. Right? That's much worse.
So,
Can you imagine that? All your minions have great stats.
yeah, and I think they did confirm that when you're deck building, it has a counter in the client, so you don't have to do the math every time you take minions in and out.
Fair.
There you go.
And it's starting, so you don't have to. It's like not even like you have to keep the math, so that's great. All right, so I know Sid's kind of running on fumes here, so we're gonna wrap this up. So question of the week. This goes to everybody here. Which class are you most excited to play for this expansion? Sid.
Sid
this
first.
might be
Sid
kind of
first.
obvious.
Hunter.
All right,
Dang.
Ron.
Yeah.
What a
I mean,
surprise.
always Hunter.
All right, Pylet.
That would require me to remember the cards. You go. I'm looking at cards.
A Paladin. Like I've taken the last couple sets of Paladin off. Like I really haven't played a ton of. I didn't play any of Quest. I didn't play much of Imbue. I didn't play much of the Aura. I played a little bit, but as someone who was supposed to be a Paladin main and I haven't been, this might bring me back into the light. I'm very excited about just doing all kinds of bubbly things. And I did have a moment where we were playing like a bubble Paladin that kind of took off a little bit, but no, I'm looking forward to this. This is exciting. But almost all classes look like they have at least something fun to do, and if not good, at least fun and interesting, which maybe we'll take to a different ladder. I don't know. Pylet, you figured out?
I think mine is Mage, which is normally Mage. Demon Hunter is a very close second, though.
Oh, and yeah, Demon Hunter looks like it's going to be really fun too. I might be a Paladin main, but a Demon Hunter sub main. I don't know. That looks like it's going to be really fun and gross. And I just hope they nuke Blob of Tar from the sun. And we don't have Blob of Tars everywhere because that just feels like it's going to be a problem there. Hopefully, Elise doesn't copy Colossals. Lots of hope there. So if you'd like to support the show, you can do so by joining our Patreon over at patreon.com/breadandbutterhs. You get the raw audio early. You get access to the members channel and Discord. You help shape future questions. And if you'd like to help us in a non-financial way, you can let people know about the show and let us know how we're doing. We'd love to know. And you can always leave us a 5-star review. You can leave us something less than a 5-star review, but then we won't send you cookies on your birthday. You can also find us at BreadAndButterHS on YouTube. And we post the VODs for these shows and usually a lot of clips. And you get to see Ron and Sid's handsome faces as they join us. Sid, where can people find you on the social medias?
SidisiTV, SIDISI TV. Check me out. I'm on probably streaming only like once a week, but I do a lot of short form content on X and Blue Sky, so that might be the best place to find me.
I'm sorry, what's X? Oh, Twitter. I'm sorry, never mind. Ron, where can people find you on the social medias?
You can find me on Twitter, where I pretty much just will only post about going live on Twitch or occasionally like a giveaway or something.
Hey, you have great stream titles. You have good stream titles.
Thank you. I try. That's like the main thing I try to do is just like brainstorm a reasonably creative stream title when I go live. So I post that at Ron_HS on Twitter, and you can find me on Twitch streaming Monday through Friday right around 7:30 p.m. Eastern, typically at RonMexico HS.
And you can usually tell Ron's mood by the stream title. If it's like going on ladder, shoot me now, he's frustrated with the ladder. Pylet, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Blue Sky, Pylet712, PYLET.
And you can find me on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, and other places at titosantanahs. Sid, do you have anything you'd like to shout out or promote this week? That you're allowed to shout out or promote this week?
Loaded question. I'm really excited to try the new cards as soon as I can.
Ron, do you have anything you'd like to shout out or promote this week?
Just excited to see like a new expansion. Shout out to the dev team for printing Colossals and things that look really exciting, because the last stretch of Hearthstone has been a little rocky for I think some expansion cycles, and this looks like a breath of fresh air. So I think nice job. I don't know if the devs get enough props when they do something good. So I think this looks good, and I think props to the devs.
Could you imagine if we got Colossals and they said we didn't want Colossals to be good, like quests? That would have been we would have rioted. Pylet, anything you'd like to promote or shout out this week?
I don't think I have much, so I'm just gonna echo what Ron said. I really like the look of the set so far. Really like the way that it's going after some of the sets from last year, and excited to see how that turns out.
And I say the same thing. I like that we aren't getting like the neutral legendary that's probably going to be in every deck. Deathwing might feel like that way because it's going to be in half decks, but outside of that, there's no, Sire Denathrius, there's no Elise, there's no whatever. So hopefully we're kind of moving away from that thing. It seems like the last few sets we have been. And there's a lot going on in the world right now, especially with conflict. So just want to everyone stay safe, keep your head down, and hopefully this stuff resolves fast. I think we're toast. We'll see you.
See ya.
See ya.